So today I want to talk about something, and it gets talked about kind of a lot in our industry, but not always at the detail that it should. And we actually had a Zoom in here earlier this week that was talking about personality styles, the DISC profile. It went way deep to a level that you don't need to be at. And I think for high level leaders, I think it was great. But for the everyday real estate agent, I think it's much more important to know personalities at the most, like the basic level. And I wish I would have learned this way earlier in my career, because I think I would have interacted with people a lot better. And it started, like I started learning probably once I was like 5 or 6 years in the business. And I was like, oh my gosh, like the light bulb went on. And even still, some people will throw me off with their personalities where I'm like, wait, what? But what I love about it is once you master it, you can literally talk to anyone, you can interact with anyone in a way that will make them feel great about themselves. It will build trust with them. And so what I first started doing was doing a lot of research about it, of course, but analyzing the people around me. So for those who don't know, there are 4 personality styles: a driver, a amiable, an expressive, and an analytical. And I'll go deeper into each of these as I go through this. But the golden rule we've all heard, right? Has anyone heard the golden rule before? Do unto others or treat others the way you want to be treated, or that kind of thing. Well, Bill Blevins, who was my original mentor, he talked about the platinum rule, which is out there. And the platinum rule is treat others the way they want to be treated. Maybe some of you have heard before, love languages, where we tend to love people the way we want to be loved. So, if we like gifts or we like quality time, well, we give that to people when really we need to love them the way that they need to be loved so that they understand that. So it's kind of similar to that. So the platinum rule is we're treating people how they want to be treated. And we can do that by really looking into their personalities. So I'm going to start kind of the general, and then I'm going to bring it specifically into real estate. So I'm going to describe a personality, and like, just think about yourselves as I go through this. So do you like to be in charge and control of things? Do you avoid bothering with little details? Would you say you're very practical and goal-oriented? You don't like too many restrictions. You love to work independently at your own speed, on your own schedule. Are you often called a workaholic? Do you become impatient? Any of those things sound like any of you? So, and you may say, yeah, part of that does sound like me. People with these, this is called like the driver personality. So this person is very good at delegating, multitasking, embracing change, highly competitive, fast-paced, entrepreneurial, dominant, ambitious, passionate. Can you think of anyone if you're not that? And she's like, I can think of someone in the room that's really that. No, but like, if you know Mike, I mean, you see him all the time, right? He's ambitious. He's a go-getter. He's got 50 million ideas and he's running at 1,000 miles an hour, which is a great thing. And what they will run into sometimes is they could maybe be stubborn or ill-tempered, impatient, abrupt, something like that. But I feel like you actually are really balanced with that. Like, you see that in a lot of other drivers. So you have a little bit of a couple of other things that we'll touch on as we go through. So the next personality is expressive. So are you energetic, fast-paced, outgoing? Do you like social gatherings, being the center of attention? Do you find yourself making friends quickly? Are you guilty of people pleasing? Do you like to be liked by people? Do you enjoy compliments, acknowledgement? Anyone that? Yeah. That's me. Yeah. So yeah, I would say Mike has some of that. Michael too. And those kind of people, they're usually self-confident. They're enthusiastic. They're fun-loving. They're persuasive. They're people-oriented, spontaneous, friendly. People like me, I'm also a procrastinator. I'm impatient. I'm easily bored. I have a short attention span, those kind of things. Like, there's strengths and weaknesses to each of the personalities. So, some of it is just learning to like redirect yourself a little bit or reel yourself in if needed. So the next is analytical. So are you extremely detail oriented? Do you like to be involved in the intricacies of the entire process? Do things with logic, rational approaches? Do you find it difficult to get along with people that are too emotional? Does it bother you when things are not based on facts, figures, reports? Anyone like that? No. So an analytical personality, they're critical thinkers. They like accuracy. They're dependable, they're analytical, they're intelligent, they're organized, they can be very independent and very detailed. However, analyticals can appear unsocial, skeptical, disbelieving, critical behaviors, detached behaviors. So some of those things make up an analytical personality. So an amiable is the next. Are you okay doing a routine for years to come? Do you see security in the long term rather than short-term gains? Do you like things slow and easy, both in work and life? You don't like frequent change. You find yourself worrying about a lot of things. Do you seek acceptance and admiration, respect from others? Do you not find thrills in taking risks? This is an amiable personality. They are observant, they're consistent, they're caring, they're reliable, they're trusting, they're calm, they're stable. Like if anyone knows Nicole at the Trenton office, like she is like 100% amiable. She's like the most easy, consistent person. Jeff has a little bit of this in him too. Their weakness, they're resistant to change. Sometimes they won't speak up. Sometimes they're less assertive or they can get their feelings hurt. So all of these, of course, have strengths and weaknesses and they play out in different ways. So, a driver at work is going to be focused on money, opportunity, freedom, challenges, urgency, success. And expressive at work is going to be public recognition. I'm sorry. Back and forth. Here we go. They're going to be more, excuse me. At work, relationship orientated, outgoing, enthusiastic, bringing people on board. They're going to be pulling people in and team, and they want to. Sorry, I got off topic here. Sorry. Okay, so the other thing is to keep in mind what motivates these people. So things that you can say to people, and this is good for like in the workplace, but it's also good at like in our office, but also as you go out. And this stuff kind of can be applied to even your family. So a driver likes to hear things like, let's get it done. Let's get results. Let's do this quickly. What do you think about this? What's the best, the newest? Let's take this challenge and do this. What's a great return on investment? They want to hear things like that. And expressive, you look great. You're the best at this. People love you. This will be fun. This is entertaining. We'll have a great time doing this. And analytical is going to want to hear, okay, how can we get this just right? How does this work? Tell me more about this. And a amiable is going to want to hear stuff like, hey, this is, let's make this happen today. How can I help you? Can we get this more precise? So as we go through these things, think about how you can apply them all the time. Like I like learned my kids' personality styles, my husband's personality styles, like even my parents, like so that I know how to interact with them the best because I know how they'll best receive information. And so once I started learning about this, I kind of got obsessed with it because it really changed the way I interacted with all of my clients. And knowing what I was getting into with each of them, I could better prepare myself. And I also like this about a year ago, I started doing buyer consultations, and I would do that with people that were like a sign call. I would do it with people that were maybe a Zillow lead, people that were referred to me, family and friends. I started doing buyer consultations, and it was for a lot of different reasons. So real estate agents don't always get the respect, we're salespeople, it's like, most real estate agents don't start out being real estate agents first. We had other careers, but we don't get taken seriously, unfortunately. And so I wanted to be respected as a professional. And so I started inviting clients into the office so that they would see, okay, wow, she's dressed like a professional. She's got a professional office, a professional place to meet. And I wanted to, most of all, assess their personality. I wanted to see what I would be dealing with going forward and how I would have to prepare myself. So based on, and I'll go through a whole buyer consultation training at some point. If Mike allows me after this one, depending on how I do, please give me 4 stars, like and subscribe below. So I was, I started doing the buyer consultation. So I bring it in, and anyone is, the next time I do one, anyone is welcome. I always will tell people in advance, but you're welcome to shadow and see how they go too. But what I loved about it was sitting across the table from a prospective client. I could learn so much about them. I could ask them great questions to get them to know them a little bit better, find out what their motivation is. We could have like the finance conversation because we're face to face. And as I'm listening to what they're saying, if they're talking about, oh my gosh, I just want to move to a really, nice neighborhood with, mature trees, or like whatever, like just based on how or my budget is this and I need these things. And like, they're very like succinct about things, or like, I just need to find a house. I need to find a house as quickly as I can. I got to get out of my parents' house. I got to get out of my apartment, whatever it is. Or it's, I just, find a house, there's all this different range, but sitting face to face and kind of having this conversation about what they're looking for really opened my eyes to the type of person they were going to be. So then I would know like, oh my gosh, this person is an analytical. So for an analytical, I may prepare myself in a totally different way. So for an analytical, I'm actually going to print out, I don't normally print out my listing tickets anymore. But maybe I would like have my listing ticket. I would have the seller's disclosures so that I would have that, because they'll ask those kind of questions. And I would also have maybe run a quick market analysis so that I would know kind of what homes in the neighborhood had sold for. So that, because they will ask you those types of questions, and that way you're better prepared. Or if it's a driver, same thing. Like I make sure like I have it is in front of me. I'm looking at the details before I go. So a driver is very different. They want to get answers as quickly as possible. Like I remember I was with one, I couldn't even answer his question before he would get to the next question or the next question. And so I'd be panicking. Like he'd be like, what year was this house built again? And I'm like, okay, what year is it built? Okay. And he's like, oh, and what, like on to the next question before I even find it on MLS ticket. So like part of it was just memorizing where things were. So I would be able to say, well, how many square feet is this house, as quickly as I could. I'm looking to see like, okay, it's 1,368 square feet. Okay. And then, so now like, I know if I'm dealing with an analytical personality, I got to be like prepared, right? I want to almost memorize it. Like I definitely want to review things before I meet with them, because that's how they want to receive information. They want it fast. And back in the day when I was taking Zillow calls, I had a call from this guy, and he talked so fast and was asking me so many questions. And he was a very experienced investor, and I had sold 0 investment properties. I knew nothing about investment properties. And the rapid fire of his questions was so intimidating to me. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, this is scary. Fortunately, we met. I gave him great customer service, phenomenal, because I pride myself on that. That is the most important thing to me. And I gave him great customer service, and he stuck with me. And Stacy has shown him before, RAUPP, and he is like in and out of a house in 8 minutes, I think is the longest I've ever been in a house with him. He knows what he's looking for. I took it as like abrupt, rude, dismissive when I first came across him, but he was like, he knows what he wants, and he had done it enough times. And he's like, you are the one agent that follows up. You do this, you do that. Like he said, like, he'll say the nicest things about me, like on a regular basis. On Thanksgiving, he sent me a paragraph of what he appreciates about me and how long it took him to find the right agent for him. And he's like, no, you're my agent, literally for life. Like, don't ever die, because I need you. Like it's just like, this is part of his Thanksgiving thing. But it's because now I know what to expect with Rob. I know that what I have to know going in. And I know that I need to like follow up with information just as quickly as I can. A similar thing happened. Drivers tend to be the toughest for me, because the rapid of it, not that I think slowly, I'm like quick in my feet, but it just they're so abrupt. Like, I'm like, God, they hate me. Like, I'm like an amiable at heart and an expressive. And so when people, I feel like, are abrupt with me. Like I almost take it personally, like, no, I have a great personality. Just like, wait for it. Like I'm funny. I swear to God. And so I'm showing this house on Groseal. It was a incoming call, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, you're the only agent that replied back to me. Like I've been trying to contact agents all day. I want to see these 2 houses on Saturday." And I was like, "Okay." So I set them up, and it ended up being 3 houses. And I was like, okay. So I'm like preparing myself all night. I'm like, okay, this is like high end. These were like 700 to $1 million homes. I'm so stressed. I'm like, I don't usually show high end buyers. The ones that I have encountered have been like, I don't know. I just haven't had the best experience, if I'm honest, like really hoity or really picky or really like crabby. So I'm like, I was just nervous going in. So like all night, I'm like, all right, what could I say? What could I say? And so I'm thinking of like a joke to like break the ice, right? And literally I did not sleep that night because I was like, I gotta prepare for this. And I go in and like think this is hilarious, right? So I was like, oh, I was like, Groseal is always different. Sometimes you open a door and it's a pantry, and other times it's a half bath or whatever, something like whatever, and thinking that it was funny, but it was not funny to her. She did not laugh. And so then I was like, shoot, okay. So I was like, oh God, bomb. Like this is like, I took all this time to like come up with something like funny, and she didn't think it was funny. So we walked through the house, and she's very quick. And I was like, dang, I was like, okay. We go to the next house, and we get outside, and I was like standing in the driveway. She's like, we're done. And I was like, what did I do? And I was like panicked in my head. I'm like, oh, you don't want to go inside? She's like, no, nope, we're done. And I was like, okay. She goes, can we just go to your office and write an offer on that first house? That's what we were looking for. And I was like, okay. And literally it was the biggest sale that I've had. Well, no, this year I had $1 million sale, but before that it was like the biggest sale I had. And she was just a driver. She just knew what she wanted. And like, so I canceled the other 2 showings. We went back to my office, and she wrote a $780,000 offer or something. And like literally this is how she signed papers. She didn't even look. Like, she's like, okay. And I was like, but this is a lot of money, and it's cash. And I was just like, okay. So the 2 lessons in that were, 1, answer every phone call and be the agent that follows up and follows through, because that was the difference between me and the other 8 agents she had contacted, 8 agents. And I was the first one to actually do what I said I was going to do, or answer my phone. And 2 is, don't be offended. Don't take it personally if people aren't matched to your personality style, right? You just have to adjust. And to me, that one was the lesson that really catapulted. And that was only like 3 years ago. That catapulted me into where I am like so attuned, like I have become obsessed with it, which also led me into doing those buyer consultations, so that I know going in what to expect, what I'm going to see going forward, and how to apply it. Okay. So then this also translates into listings, of course. So when you're pre-qualifying somebody, actually think of it as almost analyzing them, right? So you get that listing appointment, maybe they're fighting you along the way, you get the listing appointment, and then you say, okay, well, thank you. I'm excited to meet with you. Can I ask you a few questions before I come out to better prepare myself for this meeting? And almost like instantly you'll know what type of personality, because there's people, expressive people like me, I'll talk to anyone about anything. I know other people like me, Stacy, well, where you can just talk to anyone about anything at any time. And other people, drivers, they're going to have a very, very low tolerance. So the amount of questions you can ask will just depend on, again, the personality style, whether they're open to a lot of questions, whether they're conversational about it. But during this, again, you're going to find out what type of personality style they have. So if they go into like beautiful descriptive language, oh my gosh, this like these gorgeous cabinets and these countertops, they're granite, like all these like, they're so gorgeous, I love them, like all like this affectionate language. Obviously they're going to be an expressive person. If they're short answers, it's a driver, you can tell they want to get off the phone with you. They are done. You've made the appointment. They're done. You're coming to their home. They don't want to expand on things. So then maybe you shorten it to the 3 most important questions, which well, or the one at least, what is their motivation for moving? Always get that answer. And then, you know, someone like maybe that's an analytical, they're going to start talking about the investment that they've made in the property, you know, and, you know, 2010, we put a new furnace, and in 2012, we did this, and in 2014, we did this, and we put all new moldings in 2018. They're going to tell you like the investment so that they're assuring you of what they have put into their home financially. Does anyone have any questions so far? Yes, you. You and pink. Yeah, so I don't know if you guys can hear that. Stacy asked if you are over the phone, is it easy to tell their personality style? So yes, as long as you can engage them in a conversation for a little bit, right? So, I mean, a tell would be like a driver, like they may just try to get off the phone with you as quickly as possible. But if you can engage them for a little bit, I do feel like you can assess them. And sometimes, like if I'm going in for the pre-qualification conversation, and you know, I'll say, you know, is now a good time there? I can ask you a few questions, you know, depending on how kind of reading their like rapidness on the phone, I might say, so is now an okay time for me to ask you a few questions about the property? Or, you know, if they're like, oh no, I'm at work. Okay, well, can I call you back at a later time and I'll schedule another time to actually follow up with them? Or if it's, you know, or the other option would be when you're calling to confirm the appointment, you know, well, I'm coming out tomorrow, say, then I'll call and say, hey, I just want to confirm we're still good to meet at 10 a.m. tomorrow. Can I ask you a few questions before I come out, just to, you know, make sure my market analysis is accurate before we meet, something like that. Oh, great question. Anyone else have anything? No? Okay. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about today is I would really like to do some like accountability and goal setting within the group, where we would always have like a portion of training, but also like do some goal setting on what we could be accountable for. And I would love for it to be in person. I know like you guys are remote today, but I would love for it to be an in-person thing, where we could actually like set goals and accountability for one another. Kind of my goal is going to be to like kind of grassroots help you grow your business, right? I want to help you guys in any way that I can actually increase the amount of buyers and sellers that you're exposing yourself and interacting with on a regular basis. And so part of that is pushing everyone to do things outside of their comfort zone, which is, you know, making calls, and I want to hear that, but outbound is the best way to get inbound, right? So even if you committed to, you know, 3 calls a day or 15 minutes a day, we have lots of ways that you can access, you know, we could do circle prospecting where you're calling around a home that's sold. Expireds are supposed to be off the charts this year, like as much as like it was like 70% more than the previous year. So those are going to be great resources, and it kind of takes you doing the things that push you out of your comfort zone to really push you to the next level. And sometimes when you know, when we're a newer agent, especially, it feels uncomfortable, but the way the market's shifting for you to stay relevant, for you to gain business, to gain momentum, it's going to be absolutely crucial that you do the things that are more aggressive, you know, and we can sit and wait and hope for the referrals, but actually putting yourself out there. Like I love, you know, Michael, you're doing open houses. Like I think that's such a great thing, especially for new agents. So always jumping on those opportunities, because that exposes you to buyers that you may not get to interact with normally. And then making appearances at, you know, social events, volunteering places, anywhere that you can actually connect yourself with other people, you know, the more that you can do that, the better. So then I just wanted to kind of open it up. Like, what are you guys noticing like in the market? Does anyone need any help with anything? Is anyone struggling with anything? Or
what is your, like, how would you inspire retail? Like, how would you like look on your like area that you want to maybe like, or maybe like somewhere close to home, so it's like, you know, convenient, and then do you for expired within a certain miles and then you call, like, I guess, how do you go to that? Or how would you?
So there's a lot of ways to hire. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So Ashley asked about like interacting with expireds. What's the best way to do it? And how I would go about it. So I met with my mentor and coach yesterday, and that was what he built his business on. So in the time that he was in business, he used to carry like 75 listings at once. Like he was not lazy, and his outbound was expireds. He that was like his focus at the time. And even like, you know, we went and saw Jeff Glover this week, and he said the same thing, like expireds was where it was at, period. And he's doing a ton with that. So you can look in the MLS, look for expireds. The older ones are actually, and make sure, you know, that it wasn't relisted at some point. The older expireds is kind of where it's at, because, you know, if like they always say, oh, December 1st is a call day for expireds, you know, the first of the month, because most things, you know, contracts run, you know, however many months and will expire at the end of whatever the previous month was. So, but they're going to get bombarded, right? They're going to get 20 people calling them. So if you go back, you know, 3, 6, 9, 2 years for expireds, that may be a better place to start. And so you can call, you can door knock them, you can send a letter to them, you know, anything that you want. Jeff had a text that he would send out. Glover, he would say, are you still accepting offers on your property?
They come back and say something to you, as they repeat, so they come back and say no, then.
Is there a time that you may consider interviewing agents again? Or is there a time that, you know, you'll be more interested in putting your home on the market? Or is there something that changed? With expireds, the thing you want to go back to is what was their original motivation for putting on the market? You know, were they upsizing? Were they downsizing? Were they moving up north? Were they moving to Florida? Were they moving closer to their grandkids? That he said, like, get it back to what was your original motivation for moving? And we have expired scripts too, that I can share. You know, I shared them with our Gold Diggers group, but they're easy calls to make. You just have to, you basically have to convince them that, you know, their other agent wasn't the right agent for them. They didn't have a plan like the plan that you would be offering. So.
Like, so a lot of contracts are good for 6 months, you would be back past that 6 month time frame. So
Yeah.
running into, like,
Well, they'll know if they're, Ashley asked about like the time frame, if she should go back 6 months, but they'll know if they're in or out of contract. So if, you know, they'll say, oh, you know, I'm still in a contract, or I'm still, you know, just waiting it out, or, you know, something like that. So anyone else have anything? Okay. Yep, through the MLS, through RAUPP. It's one of the things on the side. Yeah. Yes, and the suggestion is to go 20 miles out, which sounds like a lot, right? Your 20-mile radius, so outside of maybe your normal comfort zone, to give you the widest range of possibilities. And so again, like we always go back, like prospecting is like such a scary thing, but it is the thing that every top producing agent does. Like the top of the top, they are making outbound calls, period, to people they do not know. Thing to keep in mind, you don't know them. I just said that you do not know them. They are a stranger. You cannot be offended by a stranger because you don't know them. If they're rude to you, you can just pretend they're a nasty person or assume that they are a nasty person. So and everyone's like, oh, I don't like cold calling. Well, it's not cold if you approach it in a warm way. And this is why, like we say, like learn scripts. So you know exactly what to say. You're not fumbling on the phone. You sound like a professional and you're there. And like, we know, like all of us, we're nice agents. We're going to treat people right. We're going to do what we say we're going to do. We're going to take care of people. We don't know something. We have a whole team of people that we can ask and resources that we have in front of us. So, you know, keep that in mind. Never feel nervous about it. Just go for it. Like you're going to get, you know, miss 100% of the shots you don't take kind of thing. Right. So at least try it. I'm going to focus, I know, like on circle prospecting. I'm fine. Like if you guys want to hear me doing it, like you know, I'm fine if you like expired, whatever, like I'm not afraid to call, like, and just see what happens. I mean, literally, what do I have to lose? I have everything to gain and nothing to lose. Like, those people aren't my friends. I don't know them. You know, the fear that we feel is actually like a false fear. So it's just convincing your mind that it's not that. Our fear reaction is the same, no matter what it is. So someone in combat, we have that same fear of picking up the phone, which makes no sense. You're not going to die from picking up the phone. You know, a Marine in combat could potentially die. So it's like shifting that mindset to where you're doing this to grow your business, period.
I just wanted to pull up an expired, and just for example, just to see what you're saying. Where do you find them? That's all you see is agents.
Correct. You have to go dig a little bit deeper into Remind, which I can show you. Because I didn't know this either. You can get expireds for free in Remind. You don't have to subscribe to a service. You don't have to do anything extra. You can get any phone number for free. And if you can't get the phone number, door knock it or send a letter. There's always a way to get a hold of somebody.
Yeah, there's multiple ways to acquire to get a hold of people. It's not gonna publicly be in the listing, of course, but there's numerous avenues to get it. And just like what you're saying, going through where you're looking at actives or whatever, just like you're searching for homes for a buyer, it's just another tab. Coming soon active, expired is one. Unconditionally withdrawn is another one.
Yeah.
There's a reason. So if it's conditionally withdrawn, that means they're probably still under contract. Usually when it's unconditionally withdrawn, and they've usually terminated their agreement with the agent as well. So the listing, when it's expired, that means the listing ran its course. They can unconditionally withdraw a listing at any given time.
Right.
So there could be a reason for that too. They didn't like the agent, whatever it is. So that's another one to consider.
Yeah.
To see the ones that have been unconditionally withdrawn from the market, because a lot of times they've severed ties with that agent. So a few things to look at, but it's all in that tab upper left, the ones you check, they're right there.
Yeah. But I don't know if you guys could hear what Mike was suggesting, unconditionally withdrawn too, just because that's another resource. Those people are either not in contract or their contract is, you know, they should be free at that point.
Yes.
Conditionally withdrawn would mean they're still under contract. If they're unconditional, they should be fair game to contact, period. Yeah, and the more that you put yourself out there and do that, with the market shift, they said like 40% of agents are going to fall off. So I want to help you guys as much as I can not be that statistic, right? And so that's going to take you guys committing to working and putting the time and effort and energy in to sharpening your skills and being willing to put yourself out there in maybe ways that you haven't in the past. Does anyone else have any questions or? Okay. Anyone else have anything going on like in their real estate or need any tips, advice, guidance, or resources at all? No.
Anything going on out there?
No. Normal. Okay. So I don't know. Go ahead. Sure.
The way that Jeff switched it, where the way the market was before, you didn't have to be a personable agent. You just were doing deals, where now you got to go back to
The roots.
introducing yourself, showing them who you are and what you're about and how you work and your demeanor and your compassion for what you do. We have to go back to proving that we're the agent for them instead of just assembly lining deals through the market like it was.
Which
Yeah.
is really nice, because now we can negotiate.
Agreed.
That's like, it makes you feel like you're actually doing something.
Agreed.
Yeah, so Mike was saying how when we were in that, because so many agents, there's going to be so many agents compared to the amount of transactions coming into this next year, basically the new market, and we really have to prove ourselves. I mean, it was like over and over, and I'm hearing it like on every podcast I listen to, and everything is like your skill set is going to be so important. What you bring to the table, what differentiates you is going to be so different, because before things are just falling on people's laps because there was so much real estate to go around, so many transactions happening. It is way different now, and so we need to be mindful of that. So our skill set has to be the best. Our level of customer service has to be the best. We we need to be operating at the highest level and on all platforms, right? So the more training you get, the more practice you get. And like, we can do whatever. I mean, we can role play anything in here. We can role play, showing a house to a buyer. We could role play a listing appointment in here. We could, anything that you guys need to see that will take you to that level of comfort, if practicing, I'm willing to help with anything. So, it's like thinking like even, and I meant to mention this, even as you're showing a house, keeping those personality styles in mind, like, reading the people, I don't know, like, as you get practice, some people are going to walk in and you're just going to follow them around because they know what they want to look at and they know they're going to take you on the tour. Other people are so shy, they're like, oh, I don't want to open the closet, and you're like, no, like, you're allowed to look at anything, this is your potential house. Like, let's look at this. And then, I mean, I've had clients, measuring the inside of cupboards and opening a drawer, and like, I don't know, it was a mostly empty house. And this guy like opens the drawer and pulls out a tape measure. And he was like, do you think they're including this? And I was like, if they don't make you buy the house, absolutely. But no, but I just, kind of laughed. I was like, well, I'm not sure, but I could buy you one for closing if you'd like. It's just like, I don't know. So, you're going to get all these different like personality styles as you're going through. So, I want you guys to think about too. I'm going to send you guys, there's a link for the Tony Robbins disc profile. As I was going through those personality styles, did anything like pop up where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm like so much that, or so much that, or Jeff Garner, what are you?
I am definitely a driver. Just kidding. Amiable. Absolutely.
Yeah, he is, but he's amiable and he's an expressive too. Like, cause he's very social. He can talk to anybody, so we all have a little bit of everything, and he gets a little analytical sometimes, like if a deal is going a little crazy. So we all have a little bit, but he's definitely amiable. How about you, Cindy? Do you know?
Driver and analytical.
Yeah. Okay. Driver analytical. And that makes sense. So when we were on the team, as we were talking about like our Zillow algorithms and everything, and Cindy was like jumping right in, like, I'll do the analytics behind it. And I was like, oh my God, kill me. Like that kind of stuff would like absolutely slay me. I would be like so dead. So, and I was like, good for you, Cindy. Good for you. You get on them. You figure that thing out. What about you, Taylor? Do you know what you are? Mute, unmute.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. It's funny. I think I have a split personality because I must be like 50-50 amiable and expression.
Yeah, I can see that.
I
Just
don't know.
from the little that I know. Yeah, for sure. She's always super sweet, and she does a lot of theater, so that fits with the expressive thing for sure.
And definitely like the flaws too. I can relate. But it's kind of cool to have a window into something that makes you kind of reflect, and then you want to tackle it, like, okay, but why procrastinate, or why feel this fear there when, like you said, like that survival instinct, it doesn't make sense why we act like we're on a battlefield when we're not, you know what I mean? Those kinds of things.
I know. Yeah, that totally makes sense. What about you, Emmanuel? Do you know what you are?
I don't remember the technical terms, but I know I'm more of an emotional person. That's for 100% for sure.
So more like probably expressive or amiable? What do you think?
Both. Probably, yeah, Jeff. Both.
He's both. He's both of those. Absolutely.
Okay. How about you, Ingrid? Do you know what you are?
After this lesson, I think I'm bipolar or something.
All right. Well, what two did you align with?
Because I think that I'm amiable like a lot of times, but then suddenly I go like analytical. So it doesn't make sense. But
Mike is shaking his head yes, so he agrees with you for sure.
Okay.
That's How about you, Rob? Do you know what you are?
Yeah, I'm pretty much a high D. I mean, I'm a driver, but I fall into some of the other categories as well, just because I have to be chameleon like in some certain ways. So I've been adaptable in the I side and real steady and loyal, as well. So, but
Nice.
definitely a high D for sure.
Okay. What about you? One plus Nord. I'm just joking.
Who is that?
I don't know. Is it
Oh, wow, that must be me. I had no idea. My name was not popping up.
April?
I'm on my phone. I'm usually on my laptop.
Like a recording or something. Like it was okay.
Oh,
Okay.
you just spelled her name wrong.
I was like, how do you pronounce that? Okay.
It didn't ask me to put my name in. I didn't even think about it.
Oh, okay. Well, April, I know what April is. April, do you know what April is?
Yeah, I'm an analytical.
Yes. I feel like you're like the star analytical. You like are analytical to your core.
Yeah, I do
Um,
see some
but-
amiable in me, but I don't really know
Oh,
if it comes out to everybody else.
No, it does. It does. You're always very like conscientious of how you are around others. I feel like that's noticeable for sure. And again, and I like what Rob said, that chameleon thing, because that's everything really. That's where it's at. You want to be able to like mold to whoever you're with. I mean, there's a lot of acting in real estate. There really is, like, and I mean, like Michelle taught me like years ago, like it's showtime. Like we had read these Mike Berry scripts, and Lisa LaRue too. She's like, the line was like, pretend you're in Disneyland. Like it's exciting. I was like, well, Disneyland sucks if you go with kids. It's sweaty and expensive. And everyone complains about their feet and how tired they are and sweaty, like blah, blah, blah. But that excitement, everything every day. And like my clients will always be like, oh, like I'm almost overwhelming to them sometimes, I think, because I am like so positive all the time. But in a world where so much is negative and so many people are down and like pessimistic and all that, like it makes a difference. They want to be around me, they're like, I want to be friends with you. And I'm like, okay, that's good. Then I'm doing the right thing. Like, because I want to be friends with them because they're friends, they have friends, and on and on and on. April's April now. What about you, Michael? Michael Olivero? Able?
A little bit of drive.
Driver? Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's, I think I would be a driver. So, for myself first.
Yeah.
I do have ambitions. Sure.
Yeah.
But I kind of find myself making sure that it's good.
Yes.
Before I'm good.
Yeah. No, and that's absolutely true. Like, and there's parts of our personality that conflict sometimes, right? Like,
Yeah.
I know on some level I need to be analytical about things. And it's like, oh, I don't like it, but I am like about, I'll be like, I'm not organized. And they'll be like, you're so organized, and I'm like, oh, I don't feel it because it's like the least, it's stressful to me. So I have organization on some level to be, competent on the other side. So, it's finding that balance.
Yeah, I believe like, my last career, before that I was so shy, and never talked to anyone. What I was in, so
Yeah.
I had to talk to so many different people, and I learned how to make them
Yeah.
start, that are certain, that are
Yeah.
quiet.
Yeah.
So you got to learn when it's enough.
So Michael had said two things. One is he feels like he's part amiable and part driver, and he doesn't always feel like he can be a driver because he's thinking about other people and how they're going to feel about it and how they're going to react to it. And he was shy before he went into the health field. And then when he was there, he had to talk to everybody. And, you get all sorts of people. I mean, my son's in his whatever clinicals right now, and he's like, Mom, this guy's so mean. And the next day he's like, this lady was crazy. And then like the next day he's like, I met the nicest man. He drooled a lot, but he was super nice. And I was like, and it's just interesting because I feel like that's like the best thing. The more people and personalities you can expose yourself to, the better, because then your interactions with them get better and better, and you're fine tuning constantly. So.
Say if I just walk into, let's say, a bar,
Mhm.
I'll by myself for whatever reason, I would by myself. But
You've had a bad day. You've had a bad day in real estate. Michael Olivera goes to the bar by himself.
It takes me, I wanna say 10 minutes before I like say, hey to the next guy next to me. Then
Yeah.
they're not-
Yeah.
Before that. You don't really want to say anything.
Yeah, I'm busy drinking. I can't talk to you.
As soon as I say mine,
Yeah.
It's like, you'll see my, I'll stop, my flushing will go away. You know, I'll
Yeah.
stop sweating.
Yeah. Michael was talking about like you go into somewhere where you don't know someone, like you're sitting at the bar and like he, you know, it might take him 10 minutes to warm up and then he's having a full conversation with somebody, you know, gets past the sweating and the nervousness. What and that was me. Like I always say, like I was such an introvert, like forever I was an introvert. Like I would go to a party and if I only know the host, I like just would like want to disappear and like dive line into the wall. My sweater blends into the wall. No, but I would. And that was like my thing. I was like, God, I only know the host. This is so uncomfortable. But then I started thinking like, what if everyone else is feeling the same way I am? Like, I want to make them feel welcome. Angela Lee. Hi. Angela Lee's here, everyone. The Angela Lee. Anyway, so I started like putting myself like outside and thinking like, what if someone feels the same way I do? So now I'm like the opposite. Like I'm probably scaring people because I'll talk to people instantly and well, whatever, like, oh my gosh, I was like, I love this party, or oh, have you had one of those drinks? It's so good, or did you taste this yet? Like something like that, just to like ice break it so that people feel comfortable. Like our job in life should be to be like kind to others, make others feel great. Like that is it's an honor for us to be able to do that. And if we can connect with one extra person, great. And it doesn't all have to be real estate, but if it is, more power to it, of course, because you want to be relatable. It's all relationships in real estate. It's relationships like on every single level, and the relationships you have with one is going to spiral into the relationships with other people. So Stacy, what are you? Stacy's amiable and expressive. Yes, she is. She's always like, you know what, if I call you, do you instead of text? And like 25 minutes later, I'm like, stop talking. But I love her, so it's fine. What about you, Russ?
Amiable and a driver.
Amiable and a driver. All right. Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah. How about you?
It took me a few months ago, and I know expressive is similar to I, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I was 99B, 99.
Okay.
I was full driver for expressive.
Mike Mackin, full driver, full expressive. Sounds pretty accurate to me. I think
And
that's,
Lytical was mine.
yeah. I feel like you have a little bit of amiable in you too. I mean, I don't feel like you're trying to.
No, it was up there. It was like 60.
Yeah,
It was like
but-
99, 99, 17, like 63.
Yeah,
So that's kind of how it looked.
cool. How about,
We'll send it out.
what about you, Hannah? Do you have any idea? You don't know? You're definitely amiable for sure. Cause you're like so sweet all the time. Like no matter what he says, you're always so sweet. No. My tea's hot. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. I'm totally joking.
It was too hot.
It was too hot though. Yesterday, Hannah happened to make Mike a cup of tea, just like she doesn't normally do it. And he was like, "Oh, this is hot." I was like, "Oh, you made my tea hot. Oh God." And he's like, "This is the first time I've ever had her make it." I'm like, "Well, what'd you expect? It's tea. You're drinking hot tea." Like, what? Yeah. Dying. It made me laugh so hard. It's like his bougie. He's like, "My tea's hot." Office drama. My tea is hot. My tea is hot, and I have too much toilet paper in the trash can. Okay. Ashley, do you know what you are?
Well, honestly, I definitely expressive.
Yes.
I'm definitely amiable and confident people.
Yes.
I also analytical, like I
Yeah.
definitely got always.
Forever dramatic.
And I'm very right.
Yeah. I think you are too. Ashley, Mike sees a little bit of everything. Like I feel like you're a good balance of everything. Yeah. And do you know what you are? We're talking about disc profile. Like, do you have an idea what you are?
I'm a driver and I'm super loud, so.
Expressive. Yeah.
Extroverted here. Yeah.
Yes, I would agree. Analytical and amiable, Derek. Yeah, for sure. Angela Lee said she's a driver and an expressive. Anyone who knows Angela Lee knows that she is 100% both of those things for sure. So anyway, so I will send out the Tony Robbins link. It's a little bit shorter. There used to be a really like good, like long one, but he shortened it down a little bit. For anyone who hasn't taken it, they suggest you take it every few years because sometimes like as you develop in your career, that can change. We also change in like high stress, you know, like, so I become way more of a driver when I'm stressed out. Like I'm just like, I gotta go, I gotta get stuff done. Like, I'm like, don't think, I'm not as conscious about other people. Like normally I like try to be considerate of others. That kind of goes out the window when I'm in driver mode, which then I like have like, and I shame myself like, oh my God, you were so insensitive to everybody. Shame on you. Like, but it's just that I'm in driver mode and I'm under stress and that's how I react. So anyway, I will send out that link in the WhatsApp for anyone who's interested in taking it. You will get spammed by Tony Robbins. And if you're like me, you collect junk mail for some reason and you have a hard time deleting emails because I'm a little bit of a hoarder. And so unsubscribe immediately and that's fine. Tony Robbins will be upset, but that way you can get it, have a chance and actually take the test. And you guys seen anything? It's almost 10 now. Anything else that anyone has? No? Okay. And I don't know if you guys are up for it.
I do.
Oh, yeah, what's up?
So like I said, I'm slowly coming back to the game. I have my first buyer's presentation. So normally when I was doing it during, you know, housing market going crazy, it was like, hey, this is a seller's market. So now when I'm sitting down with them, what am I saying how the market is? How would you describe the market?
So I always say, well, now my language has changed. We're entering into more of a balanced market. So highly desirable homes are still selling with a large amount of competition and at high prices. But other homes are selling where there's a little bit more of negotiating room and we can get more of a, you know, we're in more of a normal balanced market currently. So does that help? Okay.
Yes.
Well, anyone else have anything? Okay.